Hello there, and welcome to the United States Department of Nerds, where we are for the people, by the people, and of the people. Let's jump into that intro.
It's a trap!
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I
Can
can't
you
hear
hear me?
nothing right now. Hang on.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can
I
you hear
still
me?
can't hear nobody. I can't hear you. Hang on while I figure this out.
Let me check my settings. Says mine is working.
Can you give me a sound check?
Check. Sound check. No. Let's
Hang
see.
on. I'm going to leave and come back in.
Okay.
Can you hear
Hi.
me?
I can hear you. Can you hear? Nope. Let me try.
Hang on.
Okay. Hopefully that works.
All right. Let's see if this is working now.
Okay. Can you hear me? No? Let me try something.
Weird.
Might be me.
I have no idea what's going on right now, and it's not cool. Let me see what's going on. All right, give me a sound check.
Test. Test 1, 2.
Hell yeah. Okay,
Good.
cool.
No. Probably on my end. It's not surprising. This one's a little temperamental. So channeling
on
a little
both-
dark side.
That was on both of ours because I didn't have the right headset selected in my sound bar.
Oh, see, I just unplugged my headset and plugged it. I was like, let's see if that's the thing for me.
I did that 3 times, and it also slapped me in the face, which you probably seen.
No, I was kind of messing with my, there we go. Messing with my camera setting just a bit. Let's see if I can go high def on this one. My camera can be a little,
No,
that's
you're crystal clear. I got the lights off in here, and the TV is my only,
Yay.
is my circle light.
Yeah, the lighting in this in my office is yes, it is. It is very much the joy of live TV. Lighting in my office is a little harsh. It's in between where it's like I need this lighting to show up because it's still a little bit light enough for. I'm like, if I turn my lamp on, then I will disappear. I will pull a Darth Plagueis and
I sweat like a pig if I got that damn light on, like right here in my face. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to use that.
Oh, and I get to show off at least part of our. You see some of our pop collections, the wrestling pops behind me.
And
On the other
mine's a
side of
hot
the
mess
world.
back there. I'm getting ready to redo this whole thing again. I'm just done.
Yeah, we're getting ready to put more shelves up for our pop. So behind me is our wrestling pop collection, and then we have some like TV pop, like kind of more
Hmm.
pop culture TV shows back here. This wall next to me is kind of a mix of movies, movie pop. So Lord of the Rings, we have a few of those. Of course, Book of Life, and that kind of thing. And then facing me is actually more anime pop. So
I
we have
got
lots of anime pops.
I got certain characters from the Star Wars universe and pop figures.
I like it. Which ones do you have?
Uh, see, I got Hu Yang.
Nice.
I got the Ronin, Luke,
Yes.
Leia, Palpatine, Obi-Wan, and Grievous.
Nice. Yeah, our whole living room downstairs is Star Wars themed, so curtains,
And
everything.
I
And
got
we have our
the Darth versus Luke in the throne
Ooh,
room.
that one I actually do not have. We have a
So
pretty good
I
chunk of Star
found
Wars.
that one randomly at shit, the emo place in the mall.
Ah,
Hot Topic.
okay. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
I was gonna guess Hot Topic. That's kind of my
And emo
it's
place
not
in the
what it
mall is
was.
the big giveaway on that one.
I know. But it's not the same as when we were growing up, or at least when I was growing up too. I was like, so different. Oop.
Oh yeah. But
Oh, one
hey,
second. My camera glitched. Let me check something here.
oh, the
Of
joys of live
The
TV.
joys of
Let me
live
go back to
TV.
the
There we go. I'm
Mac
gonna do that here.
comment. The joy of live TV.
Facts. Well, we're here.
All right.
We made
So
it.
this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do. I know the over at the pop break they like to do their icebreaker. So we're gonna
Huh.
do one here at USDN tonight, and that is: are you prepared for Deadpool and Wolverine this weekend?
I am hoping so. We have to get our tickets still. I didn't get
Yeah,
our
we do
tickets
too.
because, yeah,
It's
I
sold
didn't know
out
if
here, I
the
think.
I have to check. I think we'll probably go for a very late night showing. Usually, wait
Yeah.
to see if Brandon's booked. I have to
Well,
wait
he's booked
till
this weekend, isn't he?
he's actually off this weekend. So I was like, "We're gonna go."
Really?
And then he's back to being booked, which is great. He
Oh,
gets
okay.
a
Well,
weekend
hey,
here and there to it's good for him to
if
just
he is
fuel up.
booked, he is working, and if he's to
Exactly.
get a weekends off, that means he can heal and do all those things that mow
He's
the lawn and
exactly. I was about to say
hang out with the fam.
he's got a honeydew list over here. But I think we're going to a con this weekend. So
Oh,
that
speaking of
does make sense.
cons, it
Yeah.
is San Diego Comic Con this weekend.
Yes,
So
it
if y'all are
is.
out in the San Diego area and you're hearing the sound of my voice, let us know how it is. I've been seeing pop-ups all day about it, and it looks like a fantastic showing this year, as always, at San Diego Comic Con. It's one of the biggest in the United States. I think it may be the biggest at this point. I
I
think it
think so.
surpassed quite a few of the bigger ones, like the one in LA and the one in New York. I think it's like gulfed them by now.
Oh yeah, this is I
So
think the premier Comic Con. Although it's getting challenged a little bit because I mean you have Disney's with the D23 coming up. You have a Star Wars
well,
celebration. You
so
have
it's funny now. Instead of like, because they killed off that one big
the gaming
entertain.
one.
Yeah,
E
because
is
I
it
forgot what it's called.
E23
E23, I think.
or
I think that
E3?
is what
Which
it is.
one?
E3.
Yes,
E3.
E3. There it goes.
They killed it off because everybody was choosing just to do their own thing, which is cool because PlayStation does a really cool one. Microsoft's is really cool every year. So these people are like, we don't really need y'all to advertise for us no more. Plus, y'all don't do such a great job at it. It's because it kind of tinkered off. When it
Yeah.
finally like the nail in the coffin was cool. COVID just like done. But anyways,
But yeah, I'm hoping to see it this weekend. Bill, our wonderful friend Bill Botkin, got the Wolverine popcorn bucket.
I seen that. It was really cool.
We'll see if he got the Deadpool one.
I'm gonna go for like, because we're probably gonna try to do a early morning showing when all the drunkards are asleep,
It
and try to
works.
get in that way. And I'm just gonna buy everything they got. I don't care what it is. Popcorn bucket, check. I'm getting it all. Cups, check. $100 down the drain. So be it.
Hey, that's okay. This is what I love about going back to the theaters. It's an experience. And
So
this is
I
brilliant.
actually went to see a different, like, the plan was, I'm like, I'll probably go see Deadpool and Wolverine. That'll probably be the first time I go back into a theater for the first time in a long time.
Ah,
But my daughter was like, "Hey, Dad, um, what was it? Bad Boys 4 is coming to the theater." We went and seen Bad Boys 3. We
okay.
gotta go see Bad Boys 4. And it was great. It was fun. I had a good time,
I
except for
heard
the little
good
kid that was
things.
running around, which irritated me. I'm like, dude, why are you even here? This is a rated R flick. Like, don't
Yeah.
bring your kids to the rated R flicks. I'm sorry.
Or if you do, make sure they can sit still.
Please.
Let them sit still. But yeah, I heard good things about it. I haven't seen it
I
yet, but
enjoyed
it's
it.
on
I
my
enjoyed
list.
it.
Good. You're the third person I've talked to that says they've really enjoyed it. So now I have to go see it.
Well, let's jump into something that not so many people have enjoyed and continue to treat like a turd. And that is the Acolyte. That is what we're here for. So the Acolyte is set about a century before episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And it's basically the final days of the High Republic era. It is a mystery thriller, murder mystery set on. It starts out on Brendock, which is where the Coven of Witches. That this is kind of like centered around the children of two witches. And I think they're saying the year was 132 BBY is what I think it is. But that's basically the time frame we're looking at. It's our first time in Star Wars history that we are in the High Republic era, which is really cool. And honestly, I've enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie, I could have probably done without the last flashback episode. That what was it, episode 7, I think.
7. Yes.
I would have liked to get a little bit more substance out of that episode, probably, versus giving us another continuation of a flashback.
See, I'm figuring because we were talking about this over the pop break, and I liked this idea. I want to say it was Amanda Clark, or Amanda Jr., as we call her on the pop break, that
So
suggested the switch order here. Um, she said it would have been interesting to see, what actually the flashback, I think, ahead, or you see what actually happened, and then you get the flashback from the point of view where you're like, that's not what really happened. So it's like you get the flashback episode, you kind of see what happened, and then here's what really happened, and you're like, oh,
that would have gave us more substance, though.
yes.
And that's not what we got. We kind of got like the same one from episode 3, I think it was 3 or 4. It was almost the exact. It was like the same 2 episodes basically, with a little bit more, sprinkled in, a little Salt Bay on top of it. Like, oh,
Yeah.
here's a little more. I'm like, you cannot be serious. This is the episode we're getting on episode 7 before the finale. But hey, what are you gonna do?
I mean, a lot of it is the short episode runtimes.
They were
That's part of
short.
it. They were very short.
Yeah.
That's
Because I was expecting about an hour an episode, and I don't think we got that. I think we got 40 minutes.
if that. Some of
Yeah,
them were
like
27, like right at 30. If you're shaving off time for the credits, they
yeah,
were short. And I figure we get at least like 1 or maybe 2
an hour long
hour
episode.
episodes, and we got none, which is surprising. And I was like,
It's
oh,
about
I'm like,
bad editing.
yeah. So I mean,
That's the Zack Snyder school of editing right there.
maybe there'll be
We
an
have to wait for
extended
the
cut.
director's cut.
I'm going to apologize right off the bat. You might hear some thunder. It's starting to rain on my end
Oh
here. Hopefully
no,
connection
we've
is
been
good
getting it
here.
all
But
week.
yeah, so just a apology to everybody out there because I can hear it. I'm like, we'll see if y'all can. I can most definitely hear it. If y'all hear it in the background, I'm sorry. Knock on wood, we're still good connection wise.
Yeah. Let's hope we stay connected. No more incidents tonight.
No more. We got it all done.
Yeah, it's out of the system. We're good to go. Let's jump into the cast. What did you think about the cast of the Acolyte?
Oh man, there were definitely some standouts for sure.
Who is your standout?
Oh man, I'm so torn. I'm so torn for 2
Oh.
entirely different reasons.
Who you thinking?
First of all, Lee Jung Jae, Master
Yes.
Soul, nailed this. I mean,
He learned English by watching Qui-Gon Jinn.
and you got that energy right off the bat. You got it.
He vibed with Qui-Gon for all 8 episodes, and I was down for it. It was awesome.
Oh, he carried so much of the show. I mean, you
Oh,
were
yeah.
just it's like you
His
knew
emotion sold everything.
it did. It did. He just your heart was breaking with him so
Oh,
much of the
yeah.
way. And when he was anxious and just kind of like, all over the place, like he was a mess in this whole flashback episode. And you felt that, I think, more so because of him and just,
And I think a lot of that, I don't think we would have got that same type of energy and emotion from a natural born English speaker. Because I think a lot of that could have been like him genuinely being nervous, delivering lines and that kind of stuff. So, and it kind of like fed into his portrayal of Master Soul. And it worked. It worked really
yeah.
well, in my opinion.
It did. It did. I mean, his just the emotion he portrayed, and what I would have liked. Actually, one of our guests, Marjani Rawls, brought this up, and I actually really loved the idea, and I wish they kind of had done it. Was if you had gotten a flashback of Master Soul as like a child in the Jedi Temple, and just just to see where this attachment to Osha in particular comes
Mm-hmm.
from, and then I'm like, that would have been brilliant. But then at the same time, I'm like, that would have been a clear and like even clearer indictment of the Jedi. And I don't know if we're ready to quite go that far.
Well,
If that makes
we
sense.
know from other media that the Jedi weren't exactly the stand-up
Right.
citizens of Coruscant that they are portrayed as later.
But if you have like crying baby Master Soul, I don't know
I mean,
that
we
there's ever
in what
recovery
was it?
from that.
That the first season of what is it? Legends of the Jedi or whatever it is, the animated series.
Yeah, for Tales of the Jedi.
Tales of the Jedi.
Yes.
Yes, when we see 3-year-old Ahsoka Tano being taken from her home for, it's like that vibe because 3 years old is like, or even we see newborns later on in the Clone Wars and
Bad Batch.
Bad Batch. Yeah. So yeah,
But it's been an interesting just to give you a chance to get to know
I
his
will say it
backstory.
was the Empire that took the child, the baby, not the Jedi.
There we go,
But who
right?
knows? They may be guilty of it too. But toddlers, yeah, they weren't off the
Yeah,
menu for the Jedi.
they called they it's a lot of their practices were called into question, and it's an interesting way of doing it because then you see what led to what happened with Anakin ultimately, because
So you
Anakin
want a
had the
fun
same mutual
fact of the
attachment.
day?
Let's hear it.
The Jedi Temple was built on the Sith Shrine of the Depths. And it also
Um,
explains how the Jedi were clouded by the dark side and how their connection with the Force was corrupted. Fun
that
fact
makes
of the
sense.
day.
See, and
And it
nobody
explains
has
a
put
lot
that
of
out
the
there.
stuff. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can read it in Legends, but it's one of those where it makes sense. Everything that has happened to the Jedi from the Acolyte until, where we are now in the Star Wars timeline.
And I'm wondering if that's something that will come from Legends into canon, because a lot
I'm
of people are
hoping it
questioning
does.
well, why didn't Yoda sense all of this and where was
Because
Yoda? And
Yoda's been living in the temple since, for
yeah,
800 plus years
yeah,
at
that
that
makes a
point.
lot of sense. That makes
Well,
a
he
lot of
might have been in his late 700s in this series.
Mm, well, he was what, 900 when he died? Yeah,
Yeah,
about
he
late
was into
700
his 900s when he died.
yeah. So about yeah, 700s.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
So
But
who was your second?
Manny Jacinto. Oh
Dude,
my gosh. Just went from being, just kind of this goofy
he was a side character.
he
And then
was
all of a sudden he was the main act. And
all
he
of a
stole
sudden
the entire damn show.
oh, he did. And all of a sudden, yeah, he went from side character, kind of goofy, kind of like, kind of somebody who's like you could write off to I'm going to steal from, Ren Sinclair here, main character energy here. So
Yo,
straight up just came in
hey,
and
shout
just
out to Ren Sinclair. She's killing it on NXT right now.
yes, she
At the
is.
Star Wars now.
Yeah.
Sorry, had to throw it out there. She's
You want
killing
to
it.
put her in the Star Wars universe, y'all can. Just saying.
I'll be down for it. She's killing it right now in NXT. I'm liking the
Yeah.
character.
Yeah, so, but Manny Jacinto came in with his main character energy, took the internet by storm. It was a whole thirst wave here. Was I part of that? Yes. Yes, I was. He is a
He's a short
good-looking
king. I had
man.
no doubt about it.
Yes, yes, it is Short King Spring, and also Rat Boy. We call it Rat Boy Summer. He has a Rat Boy features. So, that's a whole thing. But, I
I'm
mean,
taking your word for it.
yeah, just, it's a thing. It's a thing. All the guys that are it right now have all rat features, so it's a Rat Boy Summer.
All righty. Y'all heard it
But
here first, ladies and
Rat Boy
gentlemen.
Summer. But yeah, I loved how he came in. He killed it with the lightsaber battles. Those 2, I'm like, Chimera
Did you
and
see
Soul
his
can fight
training?
forever. Yes.
Jesus, like how fast he was moving in some of him and Soul both. And you gotta keep
Yeah,
in mind, Soul's in his or Lee Jun Jae is in his 50s, I think.
I wanna say yes.
Late
That's
40s, early 50s. And that dude was getting down with the lightsaber battle. Like
oh, he was born for Star Wars. I
he
mean,
he
just
really was. He
that
he
scene
was.
that scene in the woods where he has the initial fight with Chimera and then he crouches, gets down on one knee, excuse me, one leg is out, and he's got the saber, just goes into that pose instinctively. I was like, that little
Legit.
movement was just pure poetry.
And then we got that awesome ass force push at toward the end of the battle and
Oh,
the
yeah.
finale that was like, dude, like he
Yeah.
was underestimated for like the entire 8 episodes. Like you didn't really see how really powerful he was until like that kind of cemented him like, oh damn, Master Soul ain't to be fucked with on this.
No, not at all, and kinda circling back to Manny Jacinto, what I liked about his performance too, especially as now kind of you may call me a Sith, but I'm not a Sith. I'm kind of hoping still I'm holding out hope he's a Knight of my predecessor to Knight of Ren, but that's just me holding out hope here. Um, but I like that when he was not in fight mode, everything he was telling Osha made a lot of sense.
It was, yeah.
It made a lot of sense, and he came across as somebody you could be like, he doesn't look like the typical Sith where it is, we look at Vader, right? Even though Vader
Hmm.
is super cool, obviously he's
Oh
iconic.
yeah.
Nobody can top Vader, but he's not somebody that
Never.
gives you the warm fuzzies in
Hmm.
his, or, you don't feel like, well, I can let my guard down. Or Maul. You look at Darth Maul again, very like intimidating looking, just with being from
But
Dathomir.
he was a talker though.
He was.
You didn't
But
expect that from him when your initial impression of him is like, yeah, but then you hear his words and you're like,
yes,
all right, dude, I mean, what are we doing today?
it's a
Oh, we're gonna
different
take over a Coruscant. All right, cool, let's go. I'm down.
and it's a different side of the Force with each one, different aspect of the dark side of the Force. But both of those interpretations, although excellent, and even with Palpatine, Palpatine is smooth. He
He's
can
a
do a little
talker,
bit of everything. He's a
but he was
talker,
raised that
intimidating.
way too.
Exactly. He was a true politician
Yeah, he
in
was.
every
I
sense
mean,
of the
from an
word.
early age. I mean, like he
Yeah.
was found in university learning politics.
Yeah. And so very different interpretations of the dark side, but not one of them made you feel like you're having a conversation with someone and their points all make sense, even though
Yeah,
in your mind,
you know it's
I
wrong.
don't know. I
Should
don't
be
know about
talking to
this.
this guy.
But in some ways, is he wrong though?
He really wasn't. Not in
He
this
really wasn't.
case.
Not in this case. And so that's what I loved about this performance was that Manny Jacinto called you to question what the Jedi did in a whole different way. And
Here's
yes,
something else that I appreciate about Manny Jacinto. He put Tom Cruise on blast in an interview about his appearance in Top Gun. He's like, yeah, all my lines in Top Gun were rewritten by Tom Cruise because let's face it, it's Tom Cruise and it's his movie. He just
yeah,
flat out like called him out on it. I was like, all right, Manny, cool.
yeah.
No,
And
respect for that.
And I loved that he went from, we know from A Good Place. He's kind of like he always plays the goofy kind of
He's the
characters.
Asian sidekick.
Yeah, and then he comes in and leans into the seductive side of the Force. I was like, "Oh, really? We're playing this up." I know people say Anakin is, and I know a lot of people that like, Hayden Christensen, and don't get me wrong, Hayden is a handsome man.
Yeah,
But I'm
but
sorry, the dialogue, I don't like sand. I mean, it
Manny
didn't.
Jacinto like turned it up a notch. He put it
Yes,
on
he did.
like there's 10. and there's that little extra at the end of it. Manny kind of turned it to that little extra portion on the dial and dialed it up.
Yeah, and I loved I loved his wardrobe too. The
It was
look,
simple.
it
Like
was,
it was like
but
raggy, you know? Like
it was very efficient. I guess if you're traveling through, you're not
yeah.
dragging a cloak on the ground. I mean, practical probably is probably a
I mean,
better word
the
to
most
say.
impractical thing he had was the helmet because that
Which were
thing looked
you
like it. Which
which were you
it,
excited about that with the introduction, knowing you and how much you're in love Legends? Like, were you excited to see the Catorce's helmet?
oh yeah, without a doubt. That the moment like it in the preview, I was like, ooh. Immediately like Googling, trying to be like dig out anything that's, morsel of a breadcrumb that's on the internet before the show ever started to find out if that's what it really was. And then it was like, oh, okay. And then when the show finally started and we got to see it firsthand, I was like, that's the money. Because the only other time we've seen that, I think, in live action was Kylo Ren's. Because Vader never got one.
That's right. Was his? I'm like, I've watched.
Kylo's was, yeah.
It was, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. I have to go back. I'll have to try to rewatch it. I tried
It's a
recently.
difficult watch.
It is.
So
I tried. I've watched it twice. I watched it the first time when it came out, and then I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm being way too harsh. Maybe my opinion has changed, and I'm like,
no,
nah.
no,
There were
no.
more brighter spots. Like the fight scene with him and Ray. You find the Praetorian Guards was a great scene.
Yes.
Was a
Yeah.
great scene. There were things I'm like, I think I walked out of there more frustrated. Like there was so much potential here, but that's a whole
It
separate
really was. And the
conversation.
fact that, it took us 3 episodes to learn that Ray was a Palpatine
Oh, I know.
and he still believed in the like the way his viewpoints in the Sith changed from, the rule of two to no, it's a dyad and I need these two in order to bring myself back to full power.
Yeah, there's a
The two
lot.
the two most powerful families in the galaxy, the Skywalkers and the Palpatines.
Yeah, I know. There was so much there, and of course we see a lot of, I think, the current content that is in current timeline Star Wars trying
Mm-hmm.
to kind of work with what's been given, kind of thing. But so I'm also very glad we're in the High Republic era. We get a break to see something different, and so I
Mm-hmm.
love again this interpretation of the Sith and the Jedi, and just really getting information to where it's like, oh, here's why this all happened. Here's
Yeah,
why.
and it's like one or two sentences said here and there within the show that makes sense from the original trilogy. Not the original trilogy, I'm sorry, but
The
episode 1,
Yes,
yeah, which I guess would be the second trilogy technically.
yes, but so much good stuff. Who are your standouts? Who'd you love?
Um so Daphne Keene, Jackie,
Yes,
she was fantastic. And shit, I'm sitting here looking at it.
yeah, she was my favorite female
Shit.
character
And
here.
then it's a toss up between Manny and Lee Jung Jae. Between those two and Daphne Keene,
Oh, Daphne was excellent. She was my favorite
she was
female character on
she was
this.
phenomenal. And I really wanted to like Rebecca Henderson's portrayal of Vernestra, but I didn't like this version of Vernestra that much compared to the comic book version of her.
See, and I think that's part of it, is part of the writing. I feel like I wish we had gotten a little bit more of the politics part of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the second season is going to, if we get a second season,
Well,
dive
if they
into that.
want stuff to make more
Yes.
sense, they're going to have to because they left us with so many plot holes that we have to see more of the politics side of it. And what I really want to see is um basically the fallout
Right.
of the sellout basically because
Right.
let's face it, well, I guess we'll
But
fuck it, it doesn't matter. Vernestra sold Master Soul out as the conspirator to this whole
yeah,
8 episode murder mystery that we got.
I found this was such an interesting choice that they went with Vernestra for this, because again, like you mentioned, she's in the comics. That was my first thought. I was like, oh, it's Vernestra Rowe. She's in the comics in the kids
Yes.
books for the High
Mm-hmm.
Republic, the kids books, and a little bit she comes out here and there in some of the young adult
Well, we didn't really
content.
see a master Vernestra in the
Right.
comic book yet. We
Exactly.
just see, Vernestra
Yes. And so
or
it's an
Vern, as
interesting
everybody calls her.
yes, and so it's an interesting choice that they went with a character they're currently marketing in this era that you're selling comics, you're selling and all
Hmm.
these are considered canon. So I'm
Yeah,
just wondering how this is all gonna come together. So I feel like the writing didn't do Vern a whole
justice.
lot of
No,
justice, and we only
she
got
really
one
didn't.
lightsaber whip crack.
Yeah, I
1.
know.
I
And
was
it
like,
wasn't.
"Disney, we got a budget."
I mean, they literally showed us the scars on Chimere's back,
I have
and
questions
then
on that, though.
oh well, we're gonna. I
Oh,
think
we'll
I
get
gotta.
there. We'll get
Yeah.
there. We'll get there.
So let's discuss the Sith lords that could have possibly been active during this time frame. So we know Dark Plagueis shows up in the finale episode creeping. So that leaves you with more plot holes. Why is he there? Is Chimere his current Padawan? Or not Padawan, I should say, but his number two. You know,
I I'm
is
not
this
sure.
just before he found Sheev Palpatine? What the hell is it? Because we don't know, because it was just like, oh, he's creeping in a cave. Like,
I don't know if he's been creeping that long in the cave. I feel like if he were Chimere's master, Chimere would have said something or would have,
yes.
I think he would have gone to investigate OSHA while Chimere was not around.
So
I feel like
my thinking of this is Chimere is a legit rogue Sith.
yes.
And he's still following what was his name? Darth Bane, who established the rule of two somewhat around 1000 BBY, which is kind of where it's been at since the Great Sith War. And then Darth Bane's like, all right, fuck this infight. Now there's only two of us, a master and an apprentice. So I'm thinking Chimere is just a rogue wanting an apprentice, an acolyte, if you will.
I agree with that. I feel
And
like
Plagueis is like, wait, who the fuck's these people, interfering with my shit?
see, I feel like you're hitting the nail on the head here because I feel like yes, the rule of two is clearly in effect, but you have other dark side or dark force users, and I feel like Chimere is a dark force, more of a dark force user than an actual Sith. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think he gives me the energy like he's like another Ventress. You had Dooku having Ventress,
Yep.
right? And then Maul having um oh no, his he slipped my mind here.
Savage.
Savage, there we go. Having Savage. So I feel like you're right that there is a dynamic with this with the Dark Force users. And then again, there can only be two Sith, but there are still the Dark Force users. It's just who's going to be the two, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering because we saw Plagueis, and I'm wondering if Chimere is somehow tied to Venomous because he's also alive around this time, I would think,
Yeah,
as a
Tenebrous.
rival to
Yeah.
Tenebrous.
Yep.
Or not Tenebrous, but Tenebrous had two, didn't he? He had Pelagus and then Venomous
Yes,
in Legends.
you're correct. I believe.
So I'm wondering if it's not necessarily Tenebrous, but even Venomous, because Venomous was technically an acolyte if Pelagus was the main apprentice. So I'm wondering if we're getting that, or here's the thing, and this is probably going to make people unhappy, but
Hang
I'm
on
just going
one
to say it.
second.
Sure.
Keep editing. Share. What the?
Oh, it's not doing it. Are you trying to share the
Yeah, it's
timeline?
kind of like stuck in a loop. I have no idea what's going on.
So I have
Wait.
a thought on this whole because I know the internet like blew up with the whole who
Okay,
is the
I fixed the
master,
loop.
who is this? I have a theory. Well, an
What's your theory?
idea.
What is it?
So Pelagus was introduced because he's already been in canon.
Mm-hmm.
The books I can. I mean, the whole quote, which I always laugh when I see the meme where it's like, "Have you ever heard the tale of Darth Pelagus?" And then they see
Yeah, that's one of
Anakin
my
with his like,
favorites.
yeah, with his earbuds in and on his phone. Um, but those lines made Pelagus canon. Nobody else in that line is canon. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if Disney with Star Wars wanted to, they can do a whole new Sith lineage,
Well, I mean, they could in Disney canon.
Disney canon. I mean,
And
it's
you
not
know,
going to change Legends, but they can
no,
do it in a Disney canon, and they might.
I
You
could
never
see
know.
Disney very well doing that because they want it to be their thing.
Exactly.
It kind of takes it definitely out of the George Lucas era, and definitely like puts their stamp, their Disney, stamp on that.
Yeah,
So yeah, I could
I
see
could
them
see that.
doing that.
Now, I can also see again, like with what Leslie Headland is doing, which I think is smart, is she is looking at Legends, and she is
She
looking at
does want to do Knights of the Old Republic, which would
yeah,
be phenomenal to do.
which would be. It's just how much freedom does she have to do that? Because I feel like if it were up to her, she'd probably pull more than Pelagus. You would
Hmm.
get more. Yeah, I think you would get actually more of the Sith lineage from her.
So what I do like about the Plagueis appearance is, so Tenebris, however you want to pronounce his name, definitely was into the darker magic within the Sith. He was also one of the first ones to get into the cloning and trying to extend his own life. And then Plagueis picked that up as well and ran with it after he off Tenebris
Yep.
and continued his work. He's also the one who learned how to do the essence transfer, which he's seen as the key to immortality, which is where Sidious picks it up as well, who we know did make clones of himself. Because one of his clones obviously went rogue and made Rey.
Mhm.
So, I mean, and then, oh, by the way, this whole fall of the Jedi Order was started by Darth Bane. Not Darth Bane, it actually goes back further than him. It goes back to 2000 BBY, I think. Because I know that the plan that Sidious played out was like a plan that had been over 1,000 years in the making.
Yeah.
So
I
it's pretty
mean,
cool how like you can go back and you can start connecting little dots and the show will make sense. But if you don't go back and you don't Google and you don't do other reading, you're just kind of like, oh, well, this show kind of sucks. But if you go back
well,
and you actually look up stuff, you're like, oh,
see,
okay.
I think a lot of the criticism though is coming from people that are familiar with Legends and are
Mm-hmm.
familiar, like they're here and not, and to be fair, there are shortcomings to the show for sure. We've talked about a few of them with some of the
Yeah.
structure and some of and again, I kind of feel like, Leslie Headland's hands were tied to an extent. I really do feel like
But
she's
were they?
ish. Not as much. I still think she had some freedom, but I also think
Because I kind of see, um, what's his name? Dave Filoni as being pretty open minded when it comes to the High Republic era
I think so
and that
too.
kind of stuff too.
But they also report to Disney.
And that is also
Kathleen
true.
Kennedy,
I
probably.
think a lot of the show that people are complaining about, if we would have got better edited versions of things, it could have been
Yes.
better.
I think if we
Again,
got
the
longer
Zack
episodes.
Snyder comparison, right?
Exactly. Longer episodes. Again, I think if done well, you can incorporate characters like Darth Bane. You can include Darth Tenebris. Like you can bring them from Legends over. I mean, look at Thrawn. Thrawn was technically Legends, and he shot over very well into canon. I
Well,
mean, who
Thrawn
knows if
made his grand appearance other in animated before he became a
right,
live action,
but but
but
he
he
translated
is.
well either way.
I mean, anything can be translated with good
Right.
writing.
Exactly.
That's what it boils down to. And I'm not
Exactly.
saying this was badly written, or am I? I'm
Well,
not.
I
There was some. There was some.
there's some writing, I would have to say
Yes,
that was a little weak, and I think for me that goes back to OSHA and May in particular, and why people
their
didn't connect with.
dialogue.
But I know I'm sure we're working our way down there, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
we are.
I could yeah, but I don't think that Chimera is Darth Plagueis's apprentice. I feel like Darth Plagueis showed up investigating to look at the Vergence
Yes,
and look
yes.
into how did they create. So I heard something happened here about this life created, like this life being
So
created.
that was
Whoa.
another question that I had to myself was, we know this coven of witches produced life. And we not only produced it, but they split it. Well, I don't really think they meant to split the life. I think it was because they say it's two people, one soul.
Right.
Is the saying that they used. So it becomes one of those. Did they do something wrong when they were doing it? Their whole,
That's a
I
great
guess, like,
question. That's a great question.
and
It's
was
possible.
Plagueis there to investigate the witches, or he was just observing the witches from the beginning and watch them create this life? And was he there to also try to learn the secret? Because, hey, they created life. Maybe that's another key to unlocking immortality, because that's what it's all about with the Sith, right? Is
Right.
living forever for their 1,000-year plan.
Yeah. I I don't know if he was there. I don't think he was there watching the whole time because I feel like once the kids were created, he would have jumped in there or done something.
I think you're right.
I think something happened, kind of with everything that went on in Brendock that was like undisturbed after the witches
Mm-hmm.
died. Here
But
you
the
have Osha.
Virgins was still there. It never went
Exactly.
away.
And then you have the twins both back
Mm-hmm.
near the virgins. I feel like he was there to investigate and look at, okay. And I think Oshame really are imperfect because you cannot control the force. If they were able to do it perfectly, then
Correct.
so I mean, I think it was an attempt. It was an attempt to do what the force did with Anakin. And Anakin is a true virgin, I feel like.
Yes.
I think that was their attempt to do such a thing, but you can't do it. They're
I
not the force.
think I think Plagueis learned how to do it. And Anakin was his success story when it
Yes.
comes to that.
So
So
I
the
think
question is, was the twins a his first trial, like it was his trial and error?
that's very
So I mean, it's
possible.
like it's a plot hole. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and you
Which
have
brings me to
a
my next question
yes.
of, were the time gaps / holes in the show confusing to the finale? And were the two flashback episodes, did they really bring anything extra to the series? Or would it have been better to use those 2 episodes, or have one episode where we get a good flashback and then the other episode be used to actually fill in more plot holes if we were going to do a flashback, versus 2 of the same flashbacks, basically?
I think it's just for me, it came down to placement
Okay.
of the flashbacks. Like
Yep.
I feel like it would have been like we talked about earlier, a very good way to make somebody go, oh, if they had done the first flashback with them on Brendock, and you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that all went down. Oops. And then, get what actually happened. And it's like, like,
And that's
oh
the thing. We
no.
still never learned what actually happened on Brindock outside of Soul killing what's her name, Anasea,
Anastasia. Mhm.
because
Which,
which I think
oh,
we,
Soul.
we
Soul and his bad decision making all the way through that episode.
and I think a lot of it was his connection to Osha has to have something to do with the way he was brought in as well, because it was like a brotherly, sisterly type of love he had for her, I think.
Almost felt like a dad.
Or, yeah, or a dad daughter.
Like a
Yeah.
dad daughter. Like he
Yeah.
was very protective of her. I felt bad for May though.
Yeah, we'll
He
get
was
into
like,
May taking
yeah,
the fucking short straw on that deal.
no kidding. Poor thing all the way through. I know we'll talk about that, but I I I'm just I think it was just a placement. I feel like you
Mm-hmm.
could have told a better story if you had arranged the order and made the
Yep.
episodes longer because I think it's important. Like if you see,
This
here's
was, I mean, shit. The Bad Batch finale, I think, was an hour.
yep,
I think all the Mandalorian episodes, the Ahsoka Tano episodes, I think all of them were 45 minutes ish.
45. Mhm.
Yeah. So this is literally the shortest series that we got to
So
date.
and
Clone
so
Wars
I
episodes were longer than these.
exactly. And I'm like, I think again they could have filled in a lot of the plot holes and I think you could have effectively set up a season more effectively set up a season 2 with some of the the intrigue that we're getting with
Mhm.
the Senate, because those inquiries are going to be interesting. I want to
Yo.
be in there.
They could do a whole nother series just on the inquiries from the Senate on this, you know?
Yes. I am so excited and here for that. I'm like, yeah, if y'all want to do that show, we'll be watching.
Oh, yeah. Without a
You got
doubt.
us. You got us.
Without a doubt.
Can you
'Cause
imagine like Law and Order, like
hey,
Law and Order
I
Jedi
would be
style?
there. I would be there for it, which is basically what this show was or how it started out.
Yeah, and so I mean, what did you think of what did you think of the time gaps? Were you confused by those and the
I
different
wasn't
plot holes?
necessarily confused by it because, like I said, I am the Star Wars nerd that does go and look up stuff, and I can kind of fill in the gaps myself. But I, I, like you said, an extra 10 to 15 minutes per episode would have went really far in making a lot of more things make more sense.
Or, gonna lots of credit to Amanda Jr. here because she came to the table for us too, and she
Hey,
mentioned
let's give a shout out to Amanda Jr. She wanted to be here, but she couldn't.
oh, Amanda's great. Y'all go follow her on the Pop Break. She
Amanda.news.
Yes, Amanda.news on Instagram, but definitely check her work out on the Pop Break as
Yes.
well. She's covered the Acolyte, she's covered a few other shows for us. So
Bridgerton.
yes. Oh man, her hot take on Bridgerton. Whoo.
Hey, don't get
Um,
her started on
I
Bridgerton.
know. I get it. I get it. She made a lot of valid points, and I know it's going to make some of the Bridgerton fans out there upset, but she had some valid points. So go check out her work on the popbreak.com. Read her articles, share. She does a great job, and she had some really, really good feedback here on the Acolyte. Like she actually talked about originally, she thought about if this could have been a movie, or this could have been a
Mhm.
bingeable. If just make it a bingeable show,
Yeah.
and this probably would have worked better. And then she said, make it a bingeable show, switch episodes 6 and 7, which is
Ooh,
what I
yeah.
did. And it worked better for me.
I'll have to go back and watch it like that now. Yeah.
So try
That's
that
probably what
out.
I'll do this weekend.
It was
Yeah.
good. I felt it
Look at
flowed better that
Junior.
way.
Junior is picking this up fast. It's
Junior
got to be,
Junior is a she's a wonderful apprentice.
you know, two Amandas isn't a bad thing. That's
You
why we
know,
call her Junior. And when we finally do get her on the show, though, I got to have you and her on at the same time. You got to change your name to Amanda Senior. She has to be Amanda Junior for it to work.
that we will do it. It will be great. I have
Hey,
no
and
problem.
shout out
with
to
doing it.
Rutgers University for producing some fine journalists.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
I can see Bill's head right now just like growing 10 times its size.
I mean, he's not wrong though. He is not
He's
wrong.
really not. And shout out to Bill. He's at his daughter's play tonight, canceled all his plans, moved his shows around so he could be there. Fucking grade A stand up dad. We love you,
Absolutely.
Bill.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Definitely love you way more than some of these plot holes and the orders of these episodes. But again,
Yes.
you know,
Speaking
flip
of
it.
plot
Yes.
holes,
Yes.
where the fuck did Mother Coral go in this whole fiasco? This lady just like ninja smoke bomb disappeared.
I thought she was the one who possessed Kalnaka.
She did, but then she disappeared. She didn't die.
See, I'm wondering. I had a theory about that too. I'm wondering if Pelagus in his research encountered her. If for some reason, the twins were his first attempt, they had to work with someone. He could have lent that energy and what he knew and kind of manipulated those two.
So I'm wondering, did he teach them or did
Or
he use them?
I'm assuming he used them because you don't want to
Absolutely,
teach them
Kelvin.
too
And
much.
welcome back to the network, man. We
Hi,
missed you.
Kelvin.
So
Always good to see you,
again,
friend.
plot holes.
I think that was a deliberate plot hole.
I think it is too, and I think if we get a season 2, we may see her
She had a lot of
again.
anger. She had a lot of anger
Oh,
and
she was an
very rash.
angry Dathomirian.
Yes. And her look was interesting too, because
Yeah.
I was like, gosh,
Most of the female Dathomirians don't look like that.
no. So it's an interesting.
So she was like a hybrid of them.
She was a very interesting character, and I honestly feel like there's something. She is the key, or
We
there's some
missed you
kind of.
too, big fella. We love you.
Yes, we have to catch up on all the summer anime right now because it is an amazing season. Shika Shika, if
I'm
you're
so
watching Dear
behind.
No Katan.
I'm literally on season 6 of Game of Thrones,
Ooh,
suffering because we all know season 6 through 8 is just horrid.
but
But I
why?
got to get through it so I can watch House of Dragons. I
You
don't
don't have
feel
to.
right. Yeah, but I don't.
I get it. I
It's
get it
mental
though.
OCD blockage that won't let me do it without
I
the
get
other.
it. I get it. But it is the season. Both seasons of House of Dragon have been great,
And I
and
know,
the second
and
season
like
has been
I've not
great.
heard a whole lot of bad things said about it, and I'm kicking myself for not being already up on it. But we're I'm getting there. But I got
You're
to
getting
do Game of Thrones first.
Yes, absolutely. So, but yeah, I really feel like with Mother Coral, I feel like she is the key between Pelagus and this Virgins.
Well, we do know from legends that he did study and did have interactions with the witches of both Dathomir and I'm sure others in his travels, because he literally that like his life was dedicated to the dark science and to the old Sith ways. So we'll see how that works out for us, and if we
Yeah,
get a season 2.
yeah.
And we already answered the second part of kind of like that question I had of did the Sith play a part in the birth of May and Osha? So we'll jump to the what really set the whole thing off, which is we learned that Soul killed Anastasia, and Osha finally learns the truth of what happened on Brindok. And then she uses that rage to kill Master Soul before Vernestra can arrive to save him. So with this basically statement slash question, we know May started her quest to kill the Jedi that wronged her, and basically Chimere, the stranger, gave her like you must kill a Jedi without using a weapon. And fucking Osha come out swinging with that shit.
Yeah, she did. She
Like
did.
that was the force choke of force chokes.
I didn't even put two and two together that that was even an option.
I didn't either until she whipped it out. And
Yes.
she was hiding it so well because she was like I don't know if it was something that just happened like out of like the pure rage that she felt in that moment. But when he grabbed his throat and I'm looking around like the screen, like who in the fuck is choking Master Soul here?
Yeah, I thought it was Chimera at first. I was like,
I
"Wait,
did
what?"
too.
Yeah, I
I
was
thought he
like,
was
"What?"
helping her.
And then I'm like, "Oh,
But no, she was having
oh,
a full on teenage hissy fit, choking the shit out of that man.
yeah." But how about that kyber crystal bleeding? What'd you think about that?
Ooh, that was so I was saving that for
Oh, I'm
last.
sorry.
But no, let's just fucking jump into it
Yeah.
because that was so we know most Sith use synthetic crystals. Just period. We have only seen a bleeding of a kyber crystal in comic, and I think Kylo did it.
I want to say that's correct, if I remember. Yes.
And then the only other time we've really seen it in visual media outside of the comic book was in one of the video games, Jedi Survivor.
Mhm.
We see it.
Yes.
And the amount of pain, anger, and emotion that goes into actually physically bleeding a kyber crystal is something to think about in this situation. And oh, by the way, you have to have it physically in your hand. Now, Soul's lightsaber broke on impact. So when she's holding his saber, it is broke, and the kyber crystal is actually pushing into her hand, and she is bleeding into it, like physically bleeding from her hand into this crystal. Combine that with the anger and all the other emotions she's having, and the fact that she is at the same time force choking the shit out of Master Soul. I think it takes a lot longer for a kyber crystal to actually be bled and a lot more she wasn't thinking about it. She just was in her anger. She bled that crystal,
I've
which I don't
actually heard criticism on the other side where they're like, "Oh, took too long." I'm like, "It
didn't take long
no,
enough.
it didn't take." Yeah,
That when you see it in the comic book and other things, like even like when Kylo bled his, he was over angry, and he was like, it's a whole thing. Like there's a
yeah.
whole like 10-page spread of him bleeding his crystal in the comic book, and it's intense as hell because he cracks his with so much anger, because you can't overdo it, you can't underdo it. It's got to be like just right to bleed a crystal.
See, I did appreciate that you got it was happening as she was going through all of the things in Choking Soul. Like I feel like it just lined
It was
up
a perfect
perfectly.
combination of all
And
these things.
it was like her feelings bleeding into that. And I thought it was very poetic and beautifully done.
Yes. Like the moment the camera shifted and you see that crystal turn red, I was like, holy shit. Like, is it in theory wrong? Yes. But was it fucking beautiful to see on screen for the very first time that kind of way? It was amazing. I will, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not mad about it. I'm
I'm
really
not
not.
either.
In the moment she ignited it, technically it should have blew up. But it's Star Wars. We're not talking about all that throwing ideas and theories out the wind here. She lit that damn thing. It was blue, and then that red come out of it.
That was cool.
It was beautiful. Plain and simple. It was beautiful and something to behold, because we had never gotten that before. And damn, that was
Well,
phenomenal.
and it was interesting. I feel like she channeled, especially when Soul told her, "Oh, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. Like I forgive you." And it's like that last bit just pushed, I think, that crystal
I,
transformation on the edge
I
there.
think that was really the nail in that coffin, really. Because like it pissed her off more that she forgave him, or he forgave her on his last breath.
That and it's an interesting we talked about this too on the pop break. We were talking about how it's an interesting choice that they made was to have someone who was so full of regret and sadness, and that was the most of the show, guilt, very guilt
Mm-hmm.
ridden for what happened, to be like, no, what I did was right,
Mm-hmm.
and stay on the high ground, if you will.
Yep.
So it was an interesting character shift with that. So
It,
I can see why
yeah.
she bled into that crystal a little bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense when you look at it, but you have to look at it from an open mind
Yeah.
and viewpoint on it. You can't just walk in the door and go, I'm immediately going to hate this shit, and I don't care. I'm going to hate it no matter what.
Yeah, I'm just happy we get Star Wars. We get Star Wars content.
You and me
Period.
both. You and me
Period.
both. And we
And
got
we can
two good Star Wars shows like
exactly.
back to back. We got Tales of the Sith right into the Acolyte.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here for it.
Oh
It's
yeah,
great because
anytime
we
there's
can
new
have
Star Wars on TV, I'm there.
yeah, and we can have great discussions, and enjoy talking with each other and
Exactly.
have fun. And and again, there's legit criticisms out there, and that's fine. We can have a healthy discourse about that, right? I think it's just a lot of people nitpicked and focused on
Way
some
too
of
many
the
people nitpicked and focused on the wrong parts of
like,
this.
so many people were mad about Kiadi Mundi. I was like, "Come on, guys."
Who cares? They changed it by what, 20 years or
Well,
something?
and it was the only information we legit had on his age came from a board game. Because the Wizards of the West Coast game. I'm like, "Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Not
Okay."
losing sleep over Kiadi Mundi showing up.
Yeah.
And it made sense that he was there because he's the one that said the Sith haven't been around for a millennia.
Yeah. And,
Mm.
again, it's a yes. Calvin brought up a great point.
No,
Exactly.
absolutely. And I don't know if he was around when we first started the show. So he may have missed my fun fact of the day.
Mhm.
Fun fact of
Share
the
it.
day, Kelvin, was the Jedi Temple was built on top of the Sith Shrine of the Depths. and it explains how the Jedi's link to the Force was eventually corrupted. So your statement there makes sense with what I said earlier on my fun fact of the day.
I hope they bring that into canon. I think that might be what happens.
It would make so much sense for that to be brought into canon to explain everything that's happened through all three trilogies in TV shows.
Yeah. I mean, that would make absolute sense. But we'll see. We'll see if it happens. But I mean, speaking of cover-ups,
Yes. You want to talk about some Jedi mind tricks, or in this case, Sith mind tricks?
let's go for it.
So we see, so they escape. Soul's dead. Vernestra has arrived. Everybody runs off to the center of the Vergence, which I think is the tree. And the decision is made that May will go with the Jedi, and Osha will go with Chimere to become his acolyte or his apprentice. And we see them doing their little thing they say when they were children, the I am you, you are me, we're a big family, yay, kumbaya thing they do. And then all these, like, you get that back facing camera, or the camera facing the back of Chimera, and he's just like, in no more. I was like, bro, he just like pulled a Ben Kenobi, because he was going by Ben at the time, and like completely just like wiped her mind. And then, dude, that shit was like, they just met back up. They just forgave each other for for everything, basically.
It made no sense to me. It made no sense to me, but
it does play into the Sith outpost on Tatooine. Yep,
this is true. But that made no sense to me, because I'm like, this poor girl has drawn the short end of the stick
for 8 episodes.
I mean, to be fair, she did kill Master Andara.
Hey, R.I.P. R.I.P. to Master Andara. She lasted all of 10 minutes total.
True.
How much did Carrie Ann Moss make for this show?
She
for
made
10 minutes worth of work.
Probably for the flashbacks. That's probably why. That's probably what she got paid for.
Well, she was on the 10 minutes total.
This is
maybe
true.
12, if I'm being generous. But get on her for that paycheck, man.
Well, that, and just the fact that even if it's not like a huge part, you're not the main, at least you can say you were in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Some people will do that. They're like, you know what? I just wanted to be in it. Doesn't matter.
There's a list of celebrities who have been stormtroopers. Their face were never seen. They never received any type of credit for it. They didn't get paid. They just wanted to be a stormtrooper in Star Wars.
And I mean,
to say they did it.
Exactly. Just to even say, you know, I was a Jedi Master. Was I the main? No. But I'm a Jedi Master. And she even got to do that hand-to-hand, got that Trinity energy there with the hand-to-hand combat.
She did. And I'm not mad.
No, not
It was
at
worth
all.
that 10 minutes for me. To see her in something that wasn't related to whatever that last Matrix movie was, because it was bad.
Yeah. It was pretty rough.
Like, I don't even include it. I'm like, oh, you mean the trilogy? They're like, oh no, no, we don't talk about that.
I just go straight to the Animatrix. If I don't go for it's like first movie and then the Animatrix for me. Or my Matrix for me.
So we
is outstanding.
It is. It really is. It's underrated as hell.
Absolutely. I found it on VHS.
Did you?
I did.
Nice.
I'm so excited about it. I'm gonna actually probably watch it after this. So yeah, it's with Seth. It's gonna be fun.
That's gonna be awesome.
But
we know Vernestra arrives and she finds Soul already dead. It basically, May is the only person there to take the bullets, and she has no clue what's going on. She don't even know what her damn name is at this moment.
And I'm like, they all could have fled together.
They could have. So it was a weird decision for them to leave her there.
And you're leaving a loose end that, with someone more powerful, can always find that loose end.
Yes, the last flight of the Osiris. Yes.
And I think that you're leaving a loose end free and untethered to the world.
Well,
And
and it
someone
was
else to
intentionally
find.
done, but they were like, we will leave you here and you will be basically, they expected her to take the blame for all this stuff. Like, you just sold your sister out
Again.
again. But then Vernestra is like, nah, stand by, hold my beer. We got this. You don't remember shit, do you? No, I don't know nothing. Bet. Master Soul did it all. He's been pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. He concocted this own thing. He killed Jedi. He's killed all these people. He made a lot of bad decisions. But then she still gave him a Jedi burial, a warrior's burial.
That's her guilt.
It's her guilt to live with, because who knows what else,
Exactly. What else has she covered? Now I really want to know
So the
if we
question
get a
comes,
series. Yeah.
if we do get a season 2, do we get Carrie Ann Moss to come back, play in Master Indara, and what was originally happening that was originally covered up? Because we really don't see what originally happened and what originally was covered up, and how everybody actually dies. We still don't know.
I think that we will get a cameo from her because they have to connect. And, Vern has to know something. I feel like Master Dara is going to show up. She's going to connect kind of the two arcs together, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she'll have a larger part. I think it's going to be all Vern.
Yep.
It's going to be all Vern and whoever Vern recruits to help with this cover up. If she recruits anybody, she's really
was Vernestra the Grand Master at this time, or was she just a master?
I think she was a master on
because Yoda is alive at this time, so he would be the Grand Master, because he was the Grand Master for quite a while.
So I think she would be a contender for it. But I kind of look at her as like maybe like a Mace Windu type, where she's a more senior member of the council and she's calling the shots. But I mean, she even hit it from her
she
own
was the
Padawan.
youngest Padawan to ever become a master at 16.
She's a prodigy. She's a prodigy. It's interesting that they went with her for this. Like the whole time, I'm just like,
her legends is like legendary.
Yes,
like, she was legit as hell. And the fact that they kind of made her the scapegoat type, I'm like, come on, dude, that's not Vernestra at all.
But I'm wondering if we're going to get another project, because I want to say there's another animated series due to come out. We don't know what it's about.
We get a Legends of the High Republic.
Yes.
That would be dope as hell.
I think we're going to get some kind of backstory to explain, what led her to get to this point.
Also, we got to find out what her connection is to Chimere. I think because he's got the scars of a whip. And the only person that has a whip in the whole Jedi universe is Vernestra.
Yeah. Unless it's lightning.
It could be lightning as well.
Could be both.
Yeah.
Could be both.
I mean, we know Vernestra never fell to the dark side. So, who knows?
Or has she not embraced her darkness? Like Soul.
Yeah. But Soul was definitely conflicted with that. I mean, he very much like Mace Windu. Mace Windu walked a very fine line between the light and the dark, which is why he was so respected by Yoda, and that's why he was the number 2 to Yoda. Because Yoda, like, he says it in Legends that's why he not only respects him, but he also fears him as well.
I mean, that's why he really was the only one who could take out Palpatine. If Anakin hadn't interfered, he had him.
Oh yeah, he was done.
He had him. He was done. Oh, Annie. Oh,
that
Annie.
Poor lost boy.
Exactly.
And he really was a boy still at heart, still a kid.
It's true. This is true. So how would you think about Vern as a master? I guess, what do you picture when you think about her and Chimere being her apprentice? Like, what kind of master do you think she was?
Vern never had a good relationship per se with her Padawans. Like, she took on like the impossibles, I guess you could say, like on their last like especially if you go back and you start reading some of her background. Like she took some broken Padawans, and some of them, one I think turned out good, and I think the other one actually fell to the dark side, if I
Mm.
remember right. So is that what we're getting here? I can't say for sure. There's not enough, story here for us to go off of.
I
So,
mean, it could maybe just after enough time. She maybe just has this bad track
because we
record.
do know they had a forced connection when she got off her plane,
Mhm.
her intergalactic starfighter. So it's a good question, and I think we need that answered if we get a season 2.
I think they're going to. They have to. They've got to touch on it. I mean,
They have to. And while they're at it, they could touch on what the hell was Basil's problem.
Darth Basil.
He has to be a fucking plant from the dark side. This dude,
Oh,
adorable little creature, but
I
damn,
don't
he
know
has
about
some
the Bill.
serious issues.
Bill hates Basil with a passion.
And he has every right to hate Basil. Because what the hell was Basil's problem? What did Soul do to him? What
There's
did the
a
Jedi like? Period. Like, what was like? Why did he have this weird connection with both May and Osha like that? Like some
maybe that's the virgins at work for that.
possibly because that was just like this weird thing. Basil's like, oh cool, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're trying to hurt her?
You're a
No,
Basil
dude.
fan. So there's an account on Instagram that I follow. It's comedian is Charlie Hopkinson, and he does these. I don't know if you've heard about him, Jeff. If not, I'll send it to you. But he does these AI versions. So it's him. Maybe AI imposes like Kenobi,
Mm-hmm. I,
Qui-Gon,
I don't
and
follow him, but
Anakin.
I think I know what you're talking about. Send me the link though
Yes,
after
I'll
this.
send you the link. And they poke fun at different Star Wars content, but it's like they're reviewing it from the perspective of Kenobi,
Mm-hmm.
Qui-Gon, and it's
Yeah,
funny because
yeah.
you've seen it. Yeah, they
I've
have one
seen
where
it,
he's
but
like
I didn't
Darth
know they had an
Basil.
actual
They
like.
they do it regularly for all their Star Wars shows,
Okay,
and then he actually does one for House of the Dragon. So, but
okay,
it's a Tyrion, Ned Stark's head, and
nice.
yeah,
All
the
right,
head
yeah,
on the
you gotta
pillow,
send me that
and
after
Jon
this.
Snow, and then they also do Lord of the Rings where
I
Gandalf.
know what is exactly what I'm doing after this podcast
Yeah,
now.
I straight up just binge, but they've done every single Star Wars show that's come out, and it's hilarious. But Darth Basil is their theory. They're like he's a Sith, and it's
All signs point to that.
I
Because
think
he did those last 2 episodes, kind of like lost his shit, and is like, no, you're not hurting these girls. I don't know if he was just trying to protect them because he felt like they were children, or like he knew what they were doing was
yes,
wrong.
I'll send it to you too, Kelvin. It is hilarious because it has just like hi, and it's just talking. It's so random and it cracks me up. But their theories with Darth Basil, they were talking about well the dark side has all these. They were talking about Pelagus creeping, and they're like, well Darth Basil has this house at the end of. And I'm like, y'all are
The dark
hilarious.
side has cookies.
Yes, it is. It is good stuff. I'll send it to both y'all. It is
Please.
hilarious. And but yeah, Basil, at first I wondered if he was just a plot device in a way to sell merch. Because you always have to have a cute Star Wars creature,
It's true.
but then I feel like the little
The little
the little
elephant
elephant
bug
bird things are
things,
supposed to
yeah.
be that. But
But
I'm
no,
like,
Basil stole that cake.
he did. He did. I'm just like, I don't know that I haven't seen any like Darth Basil toys. I'm just gonna call him Darth
Well,
Basil.
they none of those have came out yet either.
This is
They're still on
true.
pre-order.
The
But
pops are, I think, finally about to ship. I think in this coming month.
okay, that's
Yeah,
cool.
because you're right. I have not seen any
Yeah,
merch
because I've seen them
other than
all
the
up for
black figures.
pre-order on Amazon, but none of them are saying ready to ship. There's still some Ahsoka figures out there from the Ahsoka series that are still pre-order.
Yeah,
So I don't know what Hasbro's doing, but come on, Hasbro.
get it
Uh,
together. Get it
exactly.
together. It's Darth Basil at work.
It has to be Darth Basil, that little bastard, man. So let's talk about these special appearances. Well,
Okay,
actually, we technically have already talked about Dark Plagueis and Yoda. The ending when she comes into Yoda's room was really freaking cool.
I liked that. Although I do want to add for Darth Plagueis though that I do appreciate he looks like a mun.
He
Very
does.
shady looking mun, but I'm glad they kept that. I know people were harping about he was 15. I'm like, again, that's legends though.
Yeah. And there's nothing
So
that says he could not be. We don't know that much about the Muns to know, like, are they like Yoda, where they really don't mature until they're well into their hundreds,
yeah,
two
and
hundreds.
and his
Do
appearance, I mean, if he's manipulating dark force energy, I mean, that's gonna take a toll on you if you're experimenting. So, I mean,
yeah,
because we had the Muns in the prequels trilogy from I think from what I or no, Clone Wars. They brought up
yes,
the Muns as
yep.
well. So, and they look different.
Well,
And
he
I'm like,
was the head of the banking
yeah,
clan, I think, at one time,
yep.
because he was the head of the banking clan, and oh, by the way, he was a Sith Lord by night. So it's not, maybe he was still a young Mun coming up in the world, and this was kind of like him, like observing like what it is to really be the rule of two. You know, who knows?
Who knows? Again, you mess with the dark side, it's gonna take a toll on you. We can't all look like Manny Jacinto messing with the dark side.
You know, he's a one off. He is definitely a one off.
Bless you, Leslie Headland. Thank you.
She knew what she was doing.
It worked.
It's like we
I
need the
signed up.
female viewers. We need the female viewers. How do we do that? Oh,
Signed up.
we get a shirtless little dude with us all ripped up. We
And
got this.
the best part was I think Brandon had watched the first episode with me, and then he was like, "I know you got to catch up. You're reviewing it, so don't wait for me. I'll catch up when I can." And he did. He caught up. We caught up. Or he caught up watching it,
Mhm.
and then we got to watch episode 5 together. Had no idea that this was going to happen. And
The
here comes
shirtless
Manny
scene.
Jacinto, yeah, and he's just like, "I can see why you like the show." I was like, "You know what, sir? This is not what I was expecting." And he's like, he's joking around. He's like, she's totally looking at the other lightsaber. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like,
She did
"She did though."
very
I,
subtly. I'm like, this is a Disney program, Leslie Headland. What are
I'm
you
like,
doing?
"Pan that camera down lower. Let's get a butt shot in there. Let's see if they do it."
They got really.
They got close.
They panned it down. I was like, are
Got
they really
close.
going to give an ass shot in a Star Wars
I was
show?
like, "What's
And then
gonna
it
happen?"
stopped. I was like,
I
my
was ready for the
God.
internet to explode. That's probably one of the most positive
The ears are
episodes.
still intact.
That was actually one of the most positive.
And to be fair, it was. I'm like,
It was.
and he
I
was turning on to the seduction of the dark side.
I'm actually okay if Star Wars starts getting not overly sexual or not overly, but I think it can get, more intense. Like again, I loved the savagery of the fight scene in the woods.
That one and that final fight scene
Yes.
were ruthless, animalistic aggression. It was like watching Wolverine fight Sabretooth the first time.
Yes.
Like it was just raw, force yielding energy.
I felt for Yord. Yord was not my favorite
And the
character
fact
the
that
whole
I just
show.
said raw energy live
After.
on air after talking
This
about,
is your ruthless era here. Ruthless aggression
apparently it
era.
is. I apologize to everybody out there,
No,
but I'm not sorry.
this is USDN After Dark. Here we go.
Hey, yeah, we did start the show an hour later tonight just for this because we were going to be talking about shirtless dudes. Apparently,
There
that
we
was your
go.
plan. This was your idea. I see what you
USDN
did
After
there,
Dark. You're welcome.
and my boss man just approved, so we're good.
But I have to say I do like that. Like even with Yord, not my favorite character, but his death was like downright
Ruthless as
ruthless.
fuck, but so is Jackie's.
She at least fought though.
Yo,
She fought a warrior.
Jackie was the surprise that I didn't see coming
She
because
fought
she whooped
though.
his
She
ass
did.
for most of
Yord,
that fight.
he didn't even use the force to kill Yord. That's
No,
how
he just
little he thought of
straight
Yord.
fucking snapped his neck.
I was like,
Just like
eh.
the only thing that could have been better is as he snapped his neck, been like, little man.
I mean, he's kind of did this almost. I hear you, but he still got that same point across. I was like, oof. I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
dude.
that's one of the most like savage.
And I know we really didn't talk about that episode because everybody was busy for the last couple of weeks, but holy shit, that Jedi massacre, the Red Wedding of the Jedi.
Yes. And I'm here for this. If Star Wars gives us more of that, I am okay with it because these
Hey,
fight
if
scenes in the
if
story
they
make sense.
decide to go back to the Knights of the Old Republic, that's going to be some violent ass shit.
And it has to be
Yeah,
if you're trying to capture it.
we're
Like
talking
that.
about there was a Sith war in there.
Yeah. And that's what that was you're reading my mind here, and I love it because that's what my exact thought. It was like, I wonder if they're testing the waters here to see how audiences would have responded to that. Because if you're going to go into Knights of the Old Republic, you can't tone it down too much. Like you're going
We
to have
could
the
very well
tapestry.
get our very first rated R Star Wars.
Yeah, we could. And I am not mad. Yeah, same,
Oh,
Kelvin. We
yeah,
are not
same.
mad. And Star Wars matures with the
Yeah,
strands. It has to
it
mature.
does. I
It
mean,
has to
shit,
mature.
Disney no shit signed off on Deadpool and Wolverine
Yeah.
with an R rating, and not just a R rating, a hard R. So I'm
Yeah.
like, if they're willing to,
Well, look at
okay,
Echo. Look at Echo.
yeah, dude, Echo, that was a bloody, violent adventure that I was there for. It was
Yes.
amazing.
And I
And
again,
big props to you and Bill for coming on that show.
that was fun. We had a great time discussing it with
That was
you.
a
It was
good one because I think y'all did it on Thursday and then we did it on like Saturday or
I
Sunday.
think it was like a Saturday or
Yeah,
Sunday. Yeah, and but that's the thing, like, you don't have to make every property that way. I think you can balance the force, if you will.
yeah.
Bring some balance to it, have, the content that we're used to, but get a
I
little bit.
think Disney is since they partnered with Hulu, they've come to this thing where they understand better that some things are going to require a higher rating, and they're becoming okay with this rated R,
Yeah.
just in special cases.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be every time, but some of these stories that we're telling and some of these eras are ruthless. I mean, even if you're reading in the High Republic era right now, look at what's happening with, the
Mhm.
Nile and the Jedi.
Yep.
The level of intensity there. I haven't dived into the comics as much, which that's next on my list to do. I'm reading I've caught up in the young adult books. I'm reading the adult
Hmm.
books right now because I've definitely been kind of diving in and wanting to
Yeah.
know more. But there's so much there. And then again, you have the video games. You have, if you're
I
going to
like
bring,
how, like, when we talk about the books, the young adult books, the comic books, all those stories in there all flow together.
yes,
Like, it's like this nice sequence of literature that come in and out of each other together. They're all interwoven to degrees, and they're just great reads. If you like Star Wars, dig into those. It's fantastic.
yeah, they are absolutely great. And there is a canon, there's a timeline order you can read as well that helps a lot.
Yeah, just Google
Just
Star
Google it.
Wars timeline in books or however you want to Google it. You'll get the same
And
answer
they
either
have they
way.
have an official, like, canon timeline
They do.
out there, and you can sort it however you wish to read it. I usually do it in, chronological order,
Hmm.
so everything makes sense for me,
There's
but they
another
have.
one that has it all
Yeah.
from the very beginning, how to read it, and then it mixes the shows into it as well. So you get,
Oh, I've seen that one, yes.
and that's a really cool one.
That's a good one.
And then I realized I'm like, if I want to do that, I gotta go out and find like 50 different books to read
Yeah, I'm like, "What can I get?"
because there's a lot out there that you didn't even realize. Like there's a whole book on just Plagueis.
It's a great book.
There's a book on Dooku that's really
Mhm,
good.
mhm. I love my Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Voss book, The Dark Disciple.
That one is so good. Damn,
So
that one
good.
is so good.
So good. I'm like,
That one, and it's not what you expect either. I mean, it is, but it isn't, and it was amazing. But anyways, let's.
yeah,
I
yeah.
know we got to start closing this out. So, what did you think? What's your overall impressions of it, and do you think we will have a season 2?
I enjoyed it myself. I
Hey, what's up?
I I liked it. I there were some structural things. Again, the
Yep.
episodes were too short.
Yep.
I feel like the order could be changed, but I loved the concepts of, questioning the Jedi's methods and seeing what happened to lead to the current events of the Jedi's fall, their ultimate
Yep.
fall, the product of the system. I loved the take
A
on the dark
plan
side.
1,000 years in the making.
Exactly. Exactly. Just to see all of that come together and seeing where the cracks are. And
We
just
definitely got the cracks.
we did. We did. It's not the crack I wanted with Manny Jacinto's. I had to go there. I'm sorry. It was funny. It was right there. It was right there. Now you know what. Now you know how Bill deals with me. So, but I mean,
Brandon, hit me up if you just need to talk, man. I'm here for you, Brandon.
that's okay. He's got lots of cake. It's fine. It's fine.
Hey, he's a short king.
Short king. I love my short king. I give him a hard time.
We know.
He's my man. Always will be. And so, but I love the seductive side of the Sith. It's a different interpretation.
It really was. Yep.
And again, the performances were really great overall. Like, again, I loved the questions I was left with. And I remember in the beginning, this was marketed as like Kill Bill meets Frozen.
Yeah,
And
I
I
didn't like
totally
that
did.
interpretation that
But
much.
it makes sense though.
It after
In the way.
like
After the fact.
after the finale, it was like, oh, okay, now I see what the hell she was talking about. But
Yeah,
she said that very early on,
she did.
and then it took all 8 episodes for us to go, oh, okay, now it makes sense.
So it's definitely in like, my top, I'd say like my top 4 of the shows so far. I mean, I think there were definitely some improvements that could be made, but I think it was a good start. And I hope they get a season 2. I'm not super optimistic that they will, but I'm also wondering because of all of the dialogue, good, bad, etc. Because I know they were losing viewers weekly, but with all the dialogue and the discourse online, sometimes that's enough to keep.
It's enough to kill a show, and you could tell from the very beginning, from the discourse that was out there, that was the intent, was to kill this.
Yeah,
which I don't think it deserved the hate that it has really received. But what are you thinking? Out of 5 puffs, how many puffs will the Acolyte get from Amanda?
I'd say 4.
Ooh, okay.
I liked it. Again, I thought it was really solid all the way around. Again, there were structural things, but I loved that it made me think and question.
Yep.
And I'm here for it. If you leave me with more questions and you actively make me think about you.
I literally, all these questions come out this afternoon as I was sitting down to kind of put the final nails in the proverbial script coffin over here. And anytime I get left with more questions than answers I received, of course I'm going to want more from it, and it did give me that. But I will go a soft 4 out of 5 on this one. And a lot of that is because the fan service that I received in the finale. I got Plagueis. I got an appearance from a 700-year-old Yoda. And honestly, I got to see a mind wipe, which was really cool. You really get to see what eventually led to the downfall of the Jedi. So for me, that's why it's getting a soft 4 out of 5. Answer my damn questions, Leslie, in season 2 if you get one.
Please.
And if you need a transcript, I'll provide you with a transcript, okay? I'm a nice guy like that. All you got to do is ask. Hell, I'll help you write season 2.
Hire Jeff.
Exactly. All right, Amanda. Final shots and thoughts. What you got for us? Not necessarily on this, but what you got coming up. I know you're a very busy lady.
Thank
you.
But
What you got?
Yeah, well, of course, you can follow me. We are at the Pop Break. So follow the Pop Break on all social media platforms, except for thepopbreak.com on YouTube. But we, doing this for 15 years and all through the mastermind.
Oh, wow. 2 out of 5.
Okay.
All right. Hey.
Yeah.
We respect everybody's opinion around here.
Definitely like the execution. There were some things that could definitely be improved.
Yeah.
So
I won't argue none of those.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, we have different articles that come out all the time. We have a lot of different podcasts on the Pop Break. I am the co-host of 2 of them. I'm the co-host with Bill Bodkin for the flagship podcast of the Pop Break, which is the Socially Distanced. We drop new episodes on Fridays, and we cover different pop culture events. We just concluded our House of the Acolyte series, where we were doing dual coverage of the Acolyte and House of the Dragon, which Jeff helped us kick off. So
I helped you kick it off. I didn't get to participate anymore because I, of course, am behind on not only House of the Dragon, but also Game of Thrones, as we learned.
But he did a great job on his episode, so go check that out. We loved him.
You're
he
too
did great.
kind.
He brought a lot of really great content on the Acolyte. You brought your A game on. You brought that Jedi.
Anytime I get to come onto somebody else's podcast, you best believe I'm doing a lot of reading beforehand because I'm not showing up looking
Yeah.
soft.
So check him out. Go check out his episode. Of course, we're now covering, of course, the remainder of House of the Dragon. This coming week we'll be covering. I will actually not be here for this one episode coming up this next week. So I'll be on
Really?
vacation. Yeah, it happens. I go out every once in a while. I go on vacation. Um, yes, House of the Dragon is so good. I will not miss the finale. And of course, I will be tuning in and listening. Of course, supporting my wonderful friends. But they're going to be covering Deadpool and Wolverine this upcoming week. And of course, again, we're here for House of the Dragon. We have a massive football episode ready to go, which I know you
That was,
guys.
yep, I was going to hit on that one.
Yeah. So, and I think Kelvin too.
Yep.
So, it's a big collaborative. It's probably our biggest effort to date. So that's going to be coming out. We'll be covering Agatha all along down the line.
We will too. Yep.
We have a, of course, San Diego Comic-Con episode, kind of a wrap up coming up as well. So we'll
Ooh.
have that too.
I will
So we got
definitely be
lots,
there for that one.
yeah, we got lots of fun content coming up on Socially Distanced. And I'm also the co-host of Anime Pop as well. Also on the Pop Break, we cover anime,
Hell yeah.
everything that's happening, everything that's, anime news. We have our recommendations from our guests and we cover, trending anime that's happening. We just dropped our newest episode on the Suicide Squad Isekai streaming on
Ooh.
Max.
I
So if
forgot
you're
that was
curious,
streaming.
yeah, if you're curious about how that works, how that turned out, we have our actually it was a special episode for my co-host Josh because his brother Aaron made his debut. So they have a podcast together called the Anniversary Brothers, and it's a really
That
good
one's
one.
good too. It's on the Pop
Yeah,
Break as well.
yeah. So and then we had our Batman expert, our DC expert, Dan Cohen, our host of the Batman by the Numbers podcast, join us as well. Who
It's
is
another good one.
Yeah, he has not watched a single anime in his life, but we're like, you
For
know what?
shame. You got to do better.
Yeah.
Of
Well,
course, I got to do better too.
we got him to watch this one, and he
Nice.
also did watch the Batman Ninja movie. We were actually on his podcast doing that one. So, but he watched it, and it's what we love about Anime Pop is that we have people that are more experienced that come on. They know their anime, they watch it, and then we have people who bring a whole different interpretation. And Dan just laid into it in the best way possible with his Batman knowledge, and so it was really a great discussion. So that is out there streaming right now, and of course you can follow me at Amandalorian on Instagram and Threads. My Short King and I do have our joint cosplay account that is at Brandalorian on Instagram as well, where we talk about some of his wrestling, but we also do a lot of cosplay as well. And he is at Brandon Vice Wrestling on all socials, at Reser's Chick on X for me, and at Havoc1775 for him. Thank you again, Jeff, for having me. It is always a pleasure. It's great. I love chatting Star Wars with you.
You've become
You're
like
wonderful.
a partner in crime here at USDN. You are a council member here at USDN, and I often find myself between you and Rob and some others. I run almost everything I decide I want to do through y'all to some degree. As Amanda,
you're doing a great job. So tell
I appreciate
people
it.
more about
So,
this fantastic podcast.
what is coming up for USDN? Jeffy Jeff, aka the chairman of USDN. I'm glad you asked. I will be on a special episode of the Pop Break coming up, our NFL kickoff show. I will be covering my Chicago Bears while simultaneously crying into my pillow about the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
I know Kelvin will be on there as well, talking about his New Orleans Saints. And it's going to be a collaborative effort with a lot of the fellas from BCP as well. So that's something to look forward to coming up. We're waiting on the dates and everything, I think. I know Bill's finalizing everything and he's putting together a great NFL kickoff show. It's going to be fantastic. And I will share that here on USDN when I have all those words on that and when it's going to happen and when that show comes out. From a USDN perspective, I'll be sharing what I get from San Diego Comic-Con through other sources on the news. And of course, as always, I'll share what I can from the Pop Break as well. You don't have to wait very long for the next USDN episode. We will be back Monday with Brother Rob covering Cobra Kai and also The Boys.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, it
Yeah.
was The Boys, right? I think, yeah.
I brain farted that one hard. That was the stinky one. But yeah, The Boys finale. Well, we'll cover the whole season of The Boys, and then the first 5 episodes of Cobra Kai season 1, which if you are a Netflix fan, you'll know that Cobra Kai was, I think, the first TV series to get a 6th season. I don't think there's been another TV show to get a 6th season. And oh, by the way, the first 2 seasons of Cobra Kai were YouTube's.
That's right.
Yeah. And then they bought it. Yep. And then also there was another spinoff coming with Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio. So that's going to be interesting as well when that comes out. But yeah, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, The Boys finale and part 1 of 3 of Cobra Kai will be Monday. And then after that, I don't know what's really going on here at USDN. We'll make it up as we go, as always. We'll probably be back with some big news / rumor special, probably maybe the second week of August, I'm guessing. We'll see. We'll see what the schedule looks like for all the council members, because I know school will be starting back around that time, and I'll be getting a kid off to college. So
that'll be an emotional moment.
It's a 3-hour cry both ways.
Oh.
So with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank you to Amanda and the Pop Break for loaning us Amanda so often. And watch the page for updates. We will see everybody Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Write that down. Big thanks to the DFPN as always. A big thanks to the Pop Break again. As always, we want your feedback. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Did you enjoy something? What can we do better? We want to know. As always, please hit that like, subscribe button, share us with your family and friends. And on behalf of the Council of Nerds, this podcast is USDN approved. Signing off here.
It's a trap!